Okay, this next one is I'm just going to present with a trigger warning. This is the Chicago Blackhawks that the sexual assault allegations, sexual abuse allegations that Rick Westhead and Rick Westhead alone has been reporting on. I don't know why this isn't more widely reported. I don't know why this isn't front page news in this country, given the place that hockey has in it. But I'm even shocked right now, as of now, and this article's been out for a few hours. It's only got like 101 retweets on TSN's hockey account. I don't know why no one's talking about this, because it involves
how big of a story it is in Chicago.
I know. Well, exactly. So here's the thing. So the background here is, if you've missed this somehow, 2 NHL players that played on the 2010 Stanley Cup winning Blackhawks team accused a video coach of, I guess, improper sexual behavior would be the sanitized way of saying it. There were allegations that there were unwanted advances after the players met at this man's apartment and had something to drink, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks had a lot of names that are in current NHL head offices and in current NHL positions. But before we get to that, what's important here is that the players reported this to a coach on the team, not the coach, but a skills coach. The skills coach then reported it to upper management and asked them to take it to the police, which they did not do. And they said that they'd investigated the allegations. I believe the Blackhawks have said before in a statement maybe a month ago that they did an internal investigation on this. I believe that's what happened. Now, Rick Westhead said alleged assault of Blackhawks players, quote, an open secret, according to the source. So let me just read this directly. The alleged sexual assault of 2 former Chicago Blackhawks players was, quote, an open secret among staff both within and outside the team's hockey department, a former team marketing official said in an interview with TSN. Marketing official. The official said he was told by Blackhawks assistant trainer Jeff Thomas during the summer of 2010 that then video coach Brad Aldrich had sexually assaulted 2 players. The official asked for anonymity because he still works in the pro hockey industry and fears repercussions from the National Hockey League.
Wow.
Okay. So here's the thing that's interesting. Brad would routinely befriend young interns and invite them to his apartment in Chicago to watch March Madness basketball and other sports. I was told to steer clear of him because he had tried something at his apartment on a few players. This was not something that only a few people knew about. The entire training staff and a lot of people knew. That was an open secret. Now, what's important here, beyond that, moving away from the article just a second, is that Brad Aldrich in 2017 was convicted of sexually assaulting a 17-year-old boy at the school that he worked at, because he left the Blackhawks and went and coached at a school and sexually assaulted a child. So this is less about Brad Aldrich. He's been accused of this. He's been convicted of this. What this is a case about negligence of duty by some pretty prominent names in the NHL. The allegations, and this is back to Rick Westhead's article, against the Blackhawks went public in May. The unnamed player, identified as John Doe in court documents, alleges that he reported abuse to the team and that it was covered up. A second lawsuit filed in May by a former Michigan high school hockey player, identified in court documents, that alleges the Blackhawks covered up the abuse of 2 players and gave Aldrich a letter of reference when he left the team in the summer of 2010. That letter gave him the opportunity to go find other victims. Aldrich was convicted of abusing a then 17-year-old hockey player, in Michigan in 2013. A year later, Aldrich resigned from his position as director of hockey ops at Miami University. And on November 27, 2012, he was under suspicion of unwanted touching of a male adult, according to the University of Miami, which is what they told police, and the police records were obtained by TSN. So this keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, and I highly recommend you share this article and that you read this article. But Coach Vincent from the Chicago Blackhawks is an interesting guy here because he's the one who's willing to testify on behalf of the plaintiffs in the lawsuits against the Blackhawks. He said, I feel a weight has been lifted off me. I will stand up in court and say what happened. I know what the team did to cover this up, and coming forward was the right thing to do. Coach Vincent alleges that the players approached him on May 16, 2010 in San Jose, where he asked Blackhawks sports psychologist James Gary to follow up with the players and management. The following day, Vincent says he was called into a meeting with team president John McDonough, who has since left, I believe, general manager Stan Bowman, and vice president of hockey ops Al McIsaac. And Vincent said, and of course the sports psychologist Vincent said that he asked the team to report the alleged abuse to the Chicago police. That request was refused. And then Vincent told assistant coaches John Torchetti and Mike Haviland about his request to go to the police and the team's response. Neither of those guys will comment on this. Now, it's important to remember there's some important names on here. Joel Quenneville was the coach. Kevin Cheveldayoff was the assistant GM. Marc Bergevin was the director of player personnel. And the Canadians say he didn't know what was happening. The Canadians said in a statement, I'll read this part. Montreal Canadiens general manager Marc Bergevin, who was the Blackhawks player personnel director in 2009-2010, was not aware at the time that players had made complaints against Aldridge and was not involved in a meeting to discuss them. Canadians Vice President of Public Affairs and Communications, Paul Wilson, wrote in an email to TSN.
That to me goes against what the source from the marketing department says. If it's an open secret amongst the team and it gets back to someone who's on the marketing department, which is so far away from hockey ops, that I assume a person like Bergevin and the hockey ops might know.
It seems odd. Cheveldayoff is now the manager of the Winnipeg Jets. Jets spokesperson declined to comment and referred questions to the Blackhawks. Quenneville is now the head coach of the Panthers. Panthers spokeswoman did not respond to a request for comment. The NHL has also not responded to multiple requests for comment.
Holy shit.
Now,
specifically one request, I know Rick asked them because Aldrich's name is on the Stanley Cup. And he asked them specifically, should his name be removed from the Stanley Cup? He's been convicted of sexual assault, and they chose to not respond to Rick.
Holy shit.
So this is not about, it's about the incident, ultimately. But more than that, it's about the incident not being reported. It's about the NHL not having a third-party organization to come in and investigate these things. And when you have 700 players and tens of thousands in your employ, 30 franchises around the league, 31, 32, sexual assault cases are going to happen, guys. There's going to be sexual misconduct when you have that many employees and you have that many subsidiaries of the NHL. But the NHL has no plan for this. They keep it internal. And this is the problem. Like we can say all we want. Well, it'd be really nice if we didn't have sexual assault. Well, that's just, I mean, there's a reason we have laws against it. We haven't figured out a way to eradicate it yet. So until we do, organizations that are this big need to have a disinterested third party that comes in and investigates when these matters happen.
Unbiased third party.
Unbiased third party. Yeah. Sorry, disinterested, unbiased means the same to me, but yes.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. So now here's the thing. The article ends with just a few more things that are basically the suggestion of what I'm suggesting as well. Also, some people that worked with Aldridge are quoted in it. But at the end of the day here, the further Rick Westhead goes down the road on this, the worse the NHL looks. The worse the Blackhawks look. The worse that the names that I brought up to you, Cheveldayoff, Bergevin, Quenneville, Bowman. Who's the vice president? I keep forgetting his name.
McIsaac?
McDonough. Big names, guys. Big names. Big hockey man names. And maybe Bergevin didn't know. Maybe Cheveldayoff didn't know. Stan Bowman knew. Maybe Joel Quenneville didn't know. Maybe the assistant coaches and the video coach doesn't talk to the coach about that. You talk to the assistant coach and the assistant coach brings it up to Joel Quenneville and they didn't do that. well, then that's on them. So yes, it's possible. But one man did know, and that one man still runs the Blackhawks, and that's Stan Bowman. And whether or not this allegation is true, the allegation was made and it was unreported. And that is the issue. The allegation was made and it was unreported. I'm going to say it one more time. The allegation was made and it was unreported. And not only that, it was uninvestigated because it was not reported. That falls at upper management's feet. And I'm curious as to how they could possibly move forward through this. I don't know what you do. Like, there are people saying right now, these guys are all going down for this. You could, in any other industry, you'd lose your job for this. That's why we have HR departments. Where is that in hockey, by the way? Do they not have an HR team?
The key thing you said there is in any other industry. Like, who knows what hockey is going to do? Well, the NHL specifically is going to do in this instance to make sure this doesn't explode.
This ain't going away.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't going away at all. And I mean, the story was bad enough the last time we talked about it. I did not, I guess, appreciate the vastness of the issue. How many people were involved, where they are now, how far this is spread throughout the NHL and the sport. This is bad, guys.
Question for you. Akeem Aliu played for the Rockford Ice Hogs, right?
Yeah.
They were a subsidiary of what team?
Blackhawks.
Who was their coach?
Bill Peters.
Clearly, there's a reporting issue in Chicago. Or there was.
And that was around the same time, too.
Yeah. Now, it's been 10 years. Maybe things have changed since then. You better show us some proof, though. You better show us that you guys are already on this. And Chicago especially, but the entire NHL.
The sport has a job to stay on them until they say something. Because they're hoping this just goes away. Mm-hmm. And that strategy worked for a decade. It's not going to work anymore.